Happy Monday, degenerates. What's everybody up to? Welcome back to the Die Hard MMA podcast. I'm your host, as always, your boy Clint, and I'm happy to say my nose has recovered. I'm not choking on my own slobber anymore. Thank you to all of you who survived with me through all of last week's videos where I could barely freaking breathe. Happy to say I am back. I am full bore. I am healthy. It's nice to be able to talk without hacking over myself every 5 minutes. Much better content for consumption for you guys, I would think, as well. I am very, very pleased to announce that once again, for I don't know, God, the 12th time already this year, we're rocking the baby blues, the Die Hard stimulus check, baby. We are coming off a solid winning week at UFC Vegas 73. I could not be happier. You know what? Okay, so let's just dig straight on into it, right? There's no UFC this week. There's no PFL, which just massive oversight by them, by the way. Okay, I'm gonna tangent off a tangent. You sign Francis Ngannou. The UFC takes a weekend off, and you don't have a show. PFL, I'm rooting for you. I want you to do well. I want you to do better, survive, compete with the UFC, make the world a better place for fighters. But this is the kind of golden opportunity you can't be letting slide by. You just had an absolutely massive signing. Everyone's hyped up about it. Dana White looks like the asshole in the situation, coming out and saying all the stuff that he does about it. Have a show. Put a fight on. I don't care. Francis doesn't have to be the one fighting. Have him show up to the stadium. Have him come in on live stream. Just let the man talk on your platform for the first time. This could be a D-League bum fight set of fight nights on a Friday night. Nobody cares. There's no MMA. You've got the weekend to yourself. PFL. Missed opportunity. At any rate, There's no MMA action for us to be breaking down or betting on. Notable in MMA action that is this week for us to be breaking down and betting on. So unfortunately, tonight we're just gonna get the little stream hangout and recap, just you and me. The little inner circle. We'll talk. Anything you guys want to chat about here, just fire it off in the messages, and I'll bring it up here on screen for you. We'll recap the bets from last week, and then we'll call it a day. It's going to be a quick one tonight. As always, I do want to shout out Pub Sports Radio and Superbook Sports. If you guys haven't already, make sure you hit the like button for me. Subscribe here. Consider becoming a member, supporting us here at Pub Sports Radio, all the free shows and stuff we do for you. That's the best way you can support us. And then Superbook Sports, you guys have promo code now, Super Die Hard. If you want to support me, get on one of the best dang regulated books you guys can have out there, Superbook Sports. They will match your first bet up to $250. Use promo code Super Die Hard for that. What's up? We've got VGO in the house throwing the t-shirt out there. Mike Harvey, how we doing? My guy Nigel Lee in the house as well. What is up, everybody? Rusty, doing work. Always appreciate you hanging out, Rusty. We've got Shu. Oh my gosh, Subhuman Gaucho, my low bag OG right there. Gray in the house, Rim Dog. We got Anthony. We've got Nolan. Everyone's starting to pour in. Gordon, what's up? What's going on? Thank you very much on the Trust Your Balls call of the week with Chase Hooper. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I was going to say, so we're coming off a plus 7.05 unit win. 7 units in the bag. Not one, not two, but three. Three different 3-unit plays last week, and we went 3-0. We cashed all 3 of those, and this is what I started my tangent on in the first place. I'll be real with you guys. I'm a big believer in I don't necessarily use trends so much when betting on MMA, but the concept of variance, you know what I mean? We can look back at last year and we can identify a lot of spots where we lost bets that we maybe otherwise should have won. It was a much worse year than it could have been, or I'm sorry, it was a much worse year than I thought it should have been. The regression eventually is going to show up, right? The heater that I'm on this year, frankly, is unsustainable. We're eventually going to come back down to earth. Now, I'm not saying we're going to, nosedive and lose 2, 3, 4 events in a row or anything like that, but we eventually will not just be sun running and cashing every single bet that we're in on. I thought that was going to be this week. I'm looking at this card and I'm like, this is greasy as all hell. And you got me here going, I'm going to lay minus 150 on Silva inside the distance. Women's MMA finish, laying the chalk on it. How could that possibly go wrong? Here I am thinking Chase Hooper's in a good bounce back spot, up a weight class after just getting chinned. He's a dog again. Boy, that couldn't possibly go wrong. Gilbert Urbina, the Urbina brothers, the family legacy where none of them do any good in the UFC. He's the dog, and somehow I'm sitting here saying he's the favorite. There's no possible way any of this, and I was right. I was right on everything. I'm kind of more baffled really than anything at this point, because even though everything's been going absolutely stellar this year, everything's been fantastic in the year of our Lord 2023, I've still got that 2022 PTSD. I've still got that sense of it does not matter. It does not matter how confident I am. It doesn't matter how many angles support it. It doesn't matter anything. If I'm super confident on a bet, it loses. Like that's what happened all year last year. And with the comeback I've had this year, I've kind of shaken that. I've got my confidence back. I feel much better. But it's lasting so long that I'm like, it's gonna come to an end. And I kind of thought it was gonna go all down in flames here on Saturday. Thankfully, it did not. So I'm very, very happy. Anthony says, bring back the hammer. That's what's up, man. Absolutely. Bob in the chat hanging out. What's going on, man? David Hartman in here. Good calls. 3 for 3. Love to hear that. Thank you, David. Hey, as you guys know, I tell you guys what I bet, right? Like, that's the whole point of the show. I started this podcast to talk about my favorite sport in the world and to degen out gambling on my favorite sport in the world. And that's it. Like, I believe in openness, honesty, transparency. So I tell you guys every single thing that I put my money on, and then I put my record up there, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. I tell you guys where I'm at. So you know that if you want to tail me, do so at your own risk. Folks, I did the math. And you know what? Last year I was really upset because I've always counted myself as, I'm not the best gambler in the world. You guys know that. I've said that. I bring people on the show that are much smarter than me, much more proficient gamblers than I am. That's kind of the point. But I've always been good enough. You know what I mean? Like, I've never been awful. I've always been good enough. And the show, since I started it 4 years ago, has been profitable. I mean, not by a lot, but at least I've been in the black. I'm not, feeding losers week in and week out. And that's enough for me, as long as I'm not awful. Last year, I was awful. And it was so bad that it got to the point that it actually drove the podcast record negative. We're up 21 units total since the podcast inception. We are up 48 units in 2023. So we are this close, folks. We are this close. I'm doing my best to stay on path. I'm doing my best not to get too high on myself. Like, it's hard. The confidence makes you do stupid shit sometimes, especially when it comes to gambling. So I'm trying to make sure I just stay the course, keep it level, don't get out over my skis. But I'm really trying hard, because my goal for this year was to just wipe the slate, right? Like, we were in the hole 30-ish units after last year's awful year. And my best year since starting the podcast was being up about 34 units. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to try real hard in 2023. And as long as I can wipe the slate and be net, negative, as long as I can break even on the forever podcast record, that's all I'm really looking for in 2023. Well, not only did we do that, we destroyed that. We smashed through it like a freaking running back tearing through the tape coming out on, seniors night in high school. We destroyed it. We're up 21 units overall and 48 on the year. And now I've got a new goal, folks. Got a new goal. I'm going to erase the 70 unit deficit. The best year I've had betting on MMA since I started this podcast was up 34 units. That's the best I've ever done. 2023, the goal is now not to tread water. It is not to don't fuck up. It's to erase the deficit. I want 70 units. I want 2023 to end plus 70 units so I can say that 2022 never existed. That's the new goal. So you guys have renewed, invigorated, motivated Clint at the helm right now. I couldn't be feeling more confident. I couldn't be more in the driver's seat. And 48 units is not enough. I need at least 22 more by the end of the year. We got some more people rolling in here. I hope everybody is doing well. My guy Gray saying, trust your balls. That's right. You know, it's funny how those little offhanded remarks, you know, when I'm on camera, yeah, I'll peek behind the curtain here for you guys. This is me. Like, I know a lot of you guys may already know that, but some of the newer viewers and stuff like that may not get this. This isn't a personality. This isn't, you know, me playing it up for the camera. Like, this is just who I am. I literally just talk to you guys through a microphone, and my poor wife has to deal with this day in and day out. So, like, sometimes the shit that I say, like, always trust your balls, it just sticks. I love it. And that's why we got the new shirt made up for it. And it's my new favorite saying in the whole world. I just fired that off randomly one day, and after the show was over, I laughed at myself for about a good hard 15 minutes. Yes, sometimes I'm ridiculous enough to actually laugh at my own jokes, but I kind of caught that. I was like, did I really say that on camera today? And then I was like, fuck it, I'm running with it. All right. Mike knows what's up. Just wait for cousin Umar to get the belt in December. Thank you, Mike. So, hey, any of you who forgot, like I tried to like diddle in the futures markets here this year, and we bet cousin Umar to hold the belt at the end of the year at 50 to 1. 50 to 1? 30 to 1. Now I got to go check. Let me find my Umar bet here. Either way, it was a gigantic number. I'm pretty sure that it was 50 to 1. And it's starting to look like we've got an outside shot at it. So a lot of people really kind of booed the pick. Yeah, 50 to 1. 50 to 1 odds, cousin Umar to win the belt. We locked this back in at the beginning of the year. And here, if anybody wants to actually see the tweet, why not? Why not, right? I got the ability to pull this shit up here on, well, apparently my thing doesn't like me, so never mind, I can't. Forget it. So, yeah, 50 to 1 is what we got on cousin Umar, and I am extremely excited that we got 50 to 1. Here we go. Right there. Boom. Got the tweet date on it and everything. This bad boy. I got a lot of shit for this. A lot of people were saying I was just attention hunting and stuff like that. But for those of you who do not know or haven't been paying attention, so we've got Sean O'Malley taking on Aljamain Sterling for the title. I believe that's supposed to happen in August. So we've got 2-3 months for that fight to take place. And then regardless of what happens, right now, Aljamain wins, he probably vacates. If that happens, I would expect that Merab versus who for the title, right? Like that's what's going to happen. They're going to put Merab, the number one contender, in for the vacant belt because Aljamain is leaving, and that's probably the plan there. Merab just had surgery on his hand, so he's going to be out for a while, but an end-of-year return is totally on the table. And then if Sean O'Malley wins the belt, they're going to look to turn that kid around quick, right? Absolute stud. They're going to want to get him back in there. But what we're looking at is Umar may end up getting linked up with Corey Sandhagen. Now, I think that is a beautiful, gorgeous match up for Umar, and I will lay the house on Umar if that fight gets made. He destroys Corey Sandhagen. And that's all you need. You got the kid a top 5 finish, or not finish, but a top 5 win, and they're going to catapult him straight to the belt. They want O'Malley or Umar with that belt. And if I even get one crack at it, if they can run this title around one more time before the end of the year, that 50 to 1 looks like value, baby. I'm very, very close. And cashing a 50 to 1 for a half unit shot, that's 25 units. That would be a huge, huge win for your boy. And that would go a long way to that goal we just talked about. Shout out my guy, Iron Eagle, with the $5 dono. I am so sorry. I got rambling. I saw the donation. I said I'm going to circle back to it. And then I totally spaced it. So Iron Eagle, I beg your forgiveness. Thank you so much. Happy to hear you took down the PSR contest. I can't believe that. Back-to-back weeks. You're going to have that black belt pretty soon on PSR. Thank you for the donation, my friend. For those of you who don't know, we do run a weekly contest, free to enter, $100 to whoever wins. You just got to beat the Pub Sports Radio personalities. And I might have helped you out there a little bit, Iron Eagle. I forgot to pump in my picks this last week. I forgot to put them in myself, so I could have made it a little tougher on you to win that one. I've won it twice myself already, so I might have been some serious competition for you. But I'm very very happy to hear that you won that thing. I'm getting caught up here on the chat, Chris. Thank you very much, my friend. I really appreciate it. Let's see here. Grateful dude in the house. What's up, buddy? Thank you very much. Mike setting the bar even higher. We're hitting 100 units, baby. Honestly, if Umar gets the strap, that's actually realistic. Would absolutely love to do that. Here we go. Yeah, Anthony saying mystical gambler, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm hiding my crystal ball. It's under my bed. Nonstop Philly in the house. What's up, buddy? Thank you very much for hanging out. Very much appreciative. Let's see. Ooh, Bob asking a good question here for us. Any early leans on the Kaikara and Albazi fight? Honestly, guys, I really like Albazi. I'm very, very tempted to go ahead and bet Albazi at this early line here because I think Kaikara France has been a little overblown his entire career, if we're being honest. If you guys remember, I've done a couple of different things with Kaikara France. I like his speed, I like his power, but I never thought he was a title contender. I really kind of thought he was a bit of a flash in the pan. You know, some of these fast twitch power puncher types, they do this. They'll flash and they'll really ooh and ah everybody, and then they kind of fall apart. His grappling has gotten better. He looked really good, you know, in his last couple fights, but then he's just kind of fallen apart against that absolutely top tier of competition. And frankly, I think Amir Albazi is that top tier of competition. I was shocked, absolutely shocked when Kaikara France beat Askar Askarov. And I think that's a fight that a lot of people are going to look to when they, you know, kind of break this fight down. They're like, well, he beat Askar, right? And I thought Askar was the second coming. Like, I thought Askar was the dark horse of the division. I thought he was going to take over. So I don't want to pivot so hard and just be like, well, he beat Askar, so I'm just going to completely rethink everything I thought about him. No, I think I'm going to go back to the well here. Albazi is training at Extreme Couture. Absolutely love the guy. More than capable of finishing both knockout or submission. He is brutal. This is a huge step up in competition for him. And that's kind of my one thing that kind of wants me to pump the brakes just a little bit, is that it's a big step up in competition for him. But I do think that he's more dangerous on the feet than Askar was. And that's going to help open up the ground game. So I think he'll actually be more successful grappling than Askar was because of being able to use his hands. So I think I'm going to be on Albazi. Now, break week, obviously, so we got a week to go ahead and research on it and look into it. And we have none other than the king of this weight class coming on the show. Mike's MMA Picks is going to be the guest for next week, and he is an absolute stud when it comes to the flyweight division. Like, he might have the best record I've ever seen when it comes to this division specifically. He actually asked me for a flyweight fight. He was like, if we do the podcast, I need a flyweight fight on the card. Okay, so we found him a fight with a flyweight. So I'm very much looking forward to his opinion, but I do agree with Joey here. I'm thinking Albazi is probably the side here. Let's get caught up. Yep, everybody. See, while I'm rambling here, everybody's talking about the Umar stuff. The live chat's so damn hard to keep up with when I get talking here. Iron Eagle coming in with the double. Another $5 dono. Thank you so much here, my friend. Definitely glad to hear that you jumped in live. I'm sorry it's going to be a short stream for you. Usually you get the opportunity to come in live. I've got a whole breakdown here for you, but today we're just going to be kind of shooting the shit. Let's see here. Getting kind of caught up on everything. There's some Charlie versus Benny talk. I kind of lean with Benny there personally. Just, Charlie's a little bit chinny. Benny can grapple and scramble. It'll be good stuff. All right, I'm caught up. Let's go over. Let's go ahead and run back last week's card. Let's recap it here real quick. We did say we were going to do that off the top. So first fight of the night. There's actually a lot to talk about. This is a bit of a grimy card, but I said it was going to be fun, and fun it definitely was. Themba Gorimbo taking on Takashi Sato. What a story. What a story from Themba Gorimbo. Like, that guy, poverty-stricken, $7 left in the bank account, Colby Covington paying for his meals just so that he could get to the fight. I am so sad that my inside the distance parlay fell apart immediately because I thought it looked good. I thought it was there, man. He had Scaccio in some serious trouble. Poor Takashi Sato. I love that guy. I'm a fan. I called him the Asian Sam Alvey for a reason, though. The low volume power punching just don't hold up these days, especially if you can't defend the takedown. He's going to get cut. I mean, we started the night off. I almost went bigger on Themba Gorimbo. I only did the 1.1 to win one at the minus 110 line. I almost went 2.2, but then when I was really super confident on like Hooper and Urbina, I was like, I'm confident enough on these bigger plays that I'm going to hold off on this one. It's just going to be a small play, but that one panned out really, really well. It got a little sketchy there in the third, but Themba came out and talked about like having the flu. So him able to have that kind of a performance on the flu, it's going to be interesting to see what he can do moving forward, because I'm not really impressed with Takashi Sato at all at this point. So it'll really depend on the matchmaking. But I think there's a chance you got a little something here in Garimbo. We'll see. We'll see. Natalia Silva, what is there to say about our girl? Inside the distance, minus 150, 3 units late on that, 3 units to win 2. Came through with flying colors. I thought it was going to be a knockout. I called the knockout. I didn't really think it was going to be round 1, though. And so she sliced through Victoria Leonardo faster than I ever could have expected. I thought this was going to be total domination. I didn't expect it to go that quick. Poor Victoria. Like, this poor girl, man, she's actually not half bad. We've actually bet on Victoria and made some money with her. She's decent, but the UFC is using her as a springboard. And I'm like, man, just give her like a half decent fight. Just give her a shot. But they're like, nah, we're going to bury her. That poor girl. Natalia Silva is super exciting. She's so well-rounded. She's so fast, and she hits really hard. It's going to be fun to see where she goes from here. But I think I'm 3-0 back in Natalia Silva. She's been just an absolute money train. The problem is now women's MMA, that price tag is going to get out of control. It's going to be hard to find those angles where we can bet on her. Maybe put a pin in this one. If the UFC gives her like a decent size step up in competition, I don't even have a fighter in mind, but like, Natalia by decision is going to happen soon. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to give her somebody who's tough enough to just be in the fight with her. And that Natalia by decision is going to be something we can take advantage of because she's finished so many times in a row. We're going to be able to kind of spin the narrative and be like, okay, now we go over instead of going under. It'll happen. It'll happen. Next up, the main event, baby. Chase Hooper taking on Nick Fiore. My boy, as you guys know, did a bunch of media, wore the Chase Hooper shirt all week. Like, that was the spot, the disrespect. He looks at home at 155. I talked about this one. I don't know how he ever made 145. I have no clue how Chase Hooper ever cut down to 145 pounds. He looks so much bigger in there on Saturday night, and he hasn't even let himself do any type of weight training or anything like that. Dear God, if he gets his man muscles, hits that upgrade button, Chase Hooper is going to be a problem. And I'm sorry. If any of you are Fiore backers, I'm so sorry. Just plug your ears for a minute because I'm going to mock you relentlessly. Like, this guy, we broke his record down on the podcast last week. I showed you the records of the people that he has beat. Now, that's not always the only identifier, right? Like, some people do run through the cans like that and then turn out to be real legitimate fighters. But he's fought the lowest bar of competition I think I've ever seen. And then he gets to the UFC and is a punching bag. He's a literal punching bag for his first UFC fight. And everybody saw that and went, yeah, that guy can beat Chase Hooper. It's like, I mean, if he had come out and had like a stellar performance or something, then I could get it. I totally understand it. If he comes out and looks great in his UFC debut, but he was awful. He was on the back foot the whole fight, just getting beat up and being tough enough to take it. I'm sorry. That one never made sense to me. I legitimately thought that I was like thinking myself levels too deep and I was going to lose a huge bet for no reason because I'm the only idiot in the world that just couldn't see that, of course, Fiore was going to destroy Chase Hooper. But no, Chase Hooper's a beast, man. He worries me. He's still a little hittable. Obviously, his striking has a really long way to go, but he's super young. He's super big. If he can add some strength and he can get some striking defense, his ground game is already where it needs to be. Like, Hooper definitely still has a future in the UFC. I hope they don't push him too quickly. Fiore was a perfect introduction at 155, but this division is full of killers. They need to bring him along slowly if they want him to have any type of longevity in the sport, because we'll talk about Edmund Shabazian in just a second, but like that's what happens when you pull someone along too quickly. Nascimento, Ilir Latifi, no idea how that was a split. That was the one where I was live tweeting it and like somebody's gonna give this fight to Latifi based off of him landing 2 takedowns and like sitting on Nascimento's chest for 3 minutes. I've finally switched sides. Like I've accepted that MMA judging is what it is these days, and it's damage over everything, right? Like control and takedowns, they just don't fucking matter anymore. The judges don't score MMA that way. So, all right, fine, I'm on board. Like you want me to stop arguing for wrestlers? I will stop arguing for wrestlers. We're gonna do this thing the right way from now on. And somebody out there scores that fight for Latifi. I was just floored at the end of it. And I'm like, he did no damage. He had no output. He landed a couple takedowns. He was up against the fence getting his ass kicked for 15 minutes. And somebody scored it for him. That should never have been a split. Nascimento won that fight all day. But it also kind of shows maybe that Nascimento's kind of capped. I thought that he would be. I actually thought he was going to finish Latifi. So I picked him to win. I didn't bet him, didn't parlay him. Probably should have. But I thought he was going to knock Latifi out, if I'm being honest. Next up, Gilbert Urbina and Orion Kosi called the round 2 KO. And if I've got one gripe about UFC Vegas 23, it's that I trusted my balls on Chase Hooper. I played the knockout. I beat KO. And I called the Urbina fight perfectly. And I only played the props on Hooper. I should have played the knockout prop. It was plus 650 earlier in the week. And I knew it was good because it dropped down to 5-1 by fight time. So like somebody moved that line and it was respected enough that they, dropped the number on it by $1.50. And then the round 2 KO was 18-1. And I did that when I called like the Jake Matthews knockout. I know round 3 props are kind of my thing, but when I saw the Jake Matthews fight against Fialho so perfectly clearly in my brain, I called the round 2 KO and I hammered those numbers. Could have been the exact same thing here with Urbina. I called it, I saw it, I knew how it was going to happen, and then I didn't put a penny on it. I'm so happy I hit the big 3-unit bomb on the money line. I'm perfectly happy with that result. But I'm just, it could have been a legendary night, folks. It could have been absolutely legendary. Iron Eagle with yet another $5 donation. Thank you, my friend. Pub Sports Radio absolutely appreciates you. Can we talk about the fact that can we talk about the fact that Does Nothing Latifi landed more strikes in his fight than Demopoulos did in hers? Yeah, I mean, man, I'm so glad I dodged that bullet with Vanessa Demopoulos. She looked awful at weigh-ins. And then even though I saw some things that I kind of liked, I mean, she landed a couple big shots. She got KK's attention a couple times. She just didn't do enough out there. And she kind of let that one get away from her. She was obviously kind of outclassed on the feet, though. I think we were able to see that. Lonnie saying, bro, story of my life. Yo, Drew in the house. What's going on, buddy? Thank you so much for hanging out again tonight. I really appreciate it, man. Definitely always appreciate the love. All right. So I got to wrap this up a little quick, guys. I got some stuff going on this evening. Gonna take my daughter out to celebrate. She's getting out of first grade, believe it or not. I know, geez, time freaking flies. But we're gonna treat her out to like a nice dinner to celebrate and all that kind of stuff. So we'll keep it short here on the show. We just kind of briefly touched on Demopoulos and Carolina. I keep saying Carolina doesn't like getting hit, and it's true. Demopoulos, pounded her with a big shot. She took it and kept on coming. I have to stop disrespecting Carolina. That's something that's been a thing for me that I've been doing a lot recently. And I pumped the brakes this week because I was this close to betting Vanessa Demopoulos. And then I realized what I was doing. And that's I think that's my biggest weapon from this year to last year. I'm doing so much better because we're saving those pennies. Those spots where I otherwise would have been like, nah, I'm right. Forget that hair on the back of your neck standing up. I'm right. And I would just burn a unit in that spot. I would just cover my eyes and bet Vanessa. Didn't do it. Saved it. kept that unit in my pocket. That kind of shit adds up. So feel good about that. Same thing with my shot. Slava Claus. Oh my goodness. He came back with a vengeance. People saying that you don't want to stand with Slava were absolutely vindicated, absolutely correct. I thought Mahashot was going to be slick enough to actually stand with Slava, and believe it or not, I thought he'd hit a takedown or two in some of those scrambles. Slava, you can tell, is working on that get-up game. He popped right back up anytime they got into grappling scenarios, and it doesn't matter how good you are, you do not want to be striking with Slava, apparently. So big round 2 KO. He ruined my night in DraftKings. The 3 knockdowns. I'm like, Mahashot, could you just stay down? Like, the extra points he got for the multiple knockdowns brutalized my DraftKings lineup. So another one where I picked an underdog but avoided it from a betting perspective. And same thing with the next fight, Michael Johnson. Guys, what do we even do? I can't. Here's the thing. We all should have bet Diego Ferreira. Pardon me. Carlos Diego Ferreira after round 1. We all absolutely should have hammered live because he was 4-1 for about a half heartbeat. And then money started pouring in on him. He was down to like plus 150 by the time round 2 started. I'm so mad I didn't actually pull the trigger on CDF because Michael Johnson losing in round 2 is just like the thing. He front runs and falls apart and gets nuked in the second round. It happens so often. I hate to laugh because he's definitely a legend and very entertaining and one of the most skilled fighters we've ever seen, but just crazy how that keeps on happening to the guy. Blackened, what's going on? Thank you very much for joining the show. Appreciate you for hanging out here. Let's see here. Oh, Gaucho, thank you very much, my friend. Thank you. I'm excited. I'm excited. It's one of those things you just kind of get to do as a parent, let them know they're appreciated, let them know they're doing a good job, reward that good behavior type of thing. She did real well this year. Iron Eagle, congrats. Glad to hear that. That's awesome. I'm not ready for the high school graduation yet. Thankfully, I've got some years before that. Don't push that on me too quickly here. Beach asking for NHL predictions. I went with the Hurricanes. I've not had a great read on this series so far. I do have the Panthers to win the series at plus 115, I think. So the 2-0 lead for the Panthers feels pretty great, but I do think they've gotten a little bit lucky and been overperforming just a tidbit. So at minus 110 in what appears to be potentially a must-win game, I'm going to take the Hurricanes to get back in the series at least a little bit here. All right. Last couple fights here to talk about, guys. Buckley Fialho. Damn, Buckley. Like he looked so good. He did everything right, mixed in the wrestling, the grappling. Looks like a new man down here at 170. And I talked about Fialho. The longer this fight goes, the worse it gets for him. I actually thought Buckley was going to get it done in round 3, but the guy's so damn explosive. That head kick came out of nowhere. Absolutely crushed Andre Fialho. Buckley's going to be an issue at 170. He's really good. And if they can just rein him in a tidbit so he doesn't get, overextended and caught like he did against Chris Curtis, like as long as he just stays respectful of his opponent's abilities, he'll do this. He'll keep cracking and crushing people the way he has. I think 170 is a perfect home for him. Should have bet Lupi Godinez. This is another one where I got a little too fancy. I bet a half unit on the split decision prop. I thought this fight was going to be close, competitive, tight, and I thought it was 1-1 going into round 2. And then we got 230-27 cards for Lupi. So like, I don't know what it was. Every once in a while, you get in like this tunnel vision type of setup where you're like, I'm picking sides. And when that's going well for you, ride it. Just ride the hot hand. And that's where instead of like pivoting and betting totals and stuff like that this week, I just stayed on picking the sides, pick the sides. And it went well for me for the most part. And then I decided to bet this split decision prop. I should have just laid the 1.5 units on Lupi. I should have just bet Lupi by decision. It was even money early in the week. That was what I had picked all week, the whole time, and then didn't make money on it. So I feel I'm a little frustrated with that one myself. I don't hate the split decision prop shot. It just wasn't optimal. You know what I mean? Like, best bet would have been, trust myself, go with the fighter I thought was actually going to win instead of rolling my dice and cheering for awful judging. Because every time I seem to cheer for awful judging, they do it exactly perfect and they get it right. So like, I don't know. I don't have a good track record with that at this point. Edmund Shabazian and Anthony Hernandez. Damn. Can you guys believe I had a 3-legger knockout prop, 77-1. 77-1. We had Gilbert Urbina, Natalia Silva, and then it was anchored on Edmund by KO. And Edmund looked so good in round one. He looked so good for the first 2 minutes of that fight. He was staying measured. He was picking his shots. He was backing Fluffy up. I really thought we were going to get like Edmund 2.0, and I was just going to be the genius of all geniuses. We were going to hit the last money line bet of the night. We were going to cash a 77-1 Hail Mary parlay, and it was going to be red panty night for the boys and girls of the Die Hard MMA podcast. I really thought we had it. And then Fluffy did what Fluffy does. I mean, I said that Edmund was round one KO or bust, right? Like that was factored into me making this bet. I knew full damn well that Fluffy could just do what Fluffy does. But I thought Edmund would have made enough improvements. And I wasn't certain that Fluffy could take the shot of an improved Edmund. Because this kid cracks. He hits so hard. Fluffy's durability impressed even me. Like knowing full well what I was getting myself into, I'm still impressed with the way Hernandez was able to just take everything Shabazian had to offer and maul him. And I guess the final regret that I had for the night was I had a 77-1 ticket in my pocket. And it was all anchored on Edmund to win by knockout. The only other option for that fight was Fluffy inside the distance. Edmund was never making it 15 minutes. Edmund was never going all the way to the scorecards, getting his ass beat that way. Fluffy's too dangerous. I knew that. I talked to you guys about that. I broke that down on the podcast. I could have pocketed another 5 units for free by just playing Fluffy inside the distance when we got to that final leg of the parlay. Don't know why I missed that. It was like round 2 of the fight when I was looking to live bet Fluffy when I went, it just hit me like a ton of bricks. Massive oversight by me. We could be sitting here up 12 units instead of being up 7 units just by betting a pile on Fluffy inside the distance to hedge the crazy stupid parlay. I'm frustrated about that. I'm really annoyed by that. I'm not annoyed because I broke the fight down correctly. I picked the wrong side. I got a nice big juicy plus number. That's all fine with me. I can let that 1 unit sail on down the river. What's not okay with me is I left money on the damn table. A small hedge on Fluffy inside the distance could have still just made us an absolute baller night. And your boy missed it. I'll get that one back. But for the main event, holy crap. How good is Mackenzie Dern? I can't say enough good things about Angela Hill. Her durability, the way she stayed in that fight, all kinds of lumped up, never gave up the sub. I thought for sure the sub was coming. The way Dern had that arm bar set up multiple times, the way she was just beating her to a pulp, I thought the ref was going to step in and call it off at some point. I don't know how Angie survived that. I really don't. So props to Dern. Props to her making the improvements. Props to her getting better. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'll say it every time she fights. If Dern would just get a wrestling coach. Her striking obviously have come leaps and bounds. She doesn't need to take people down because she just knocks people to the ground now, apparently. She's got raw natural power. She's got 5-round cardio. She's the most dangerous woman in the division on the mat. If she could just learn how to wrestle, give that girl a blast double leg. No more hip throws. No more climbing up girls' backs. No more pulling guard. If you could just give her one blast double leg, she'd run the division. She'd run everybody out of there. That's all she needs is the ability to get that fight to the ground. It's insane. And yeah, Divorce Dern is a problem. She's an absolute problem. Really fun fights, guys. This week was awesome. I'm going to take the break week. So what I'm actually going to do, this off week, I'm going to spend it researching the cards, so don't be shocked. Keep an eye on my social media, my Twitter. I'm going to be posting bets that I'm going to make for next week's event. I'm actually going to look out a week ahead of time so that way next week I have less on my plate. I'm going to take not this week, but next week is going to be my relax week. So I'll have my Monday show. We'll be back for the podcast with Mike's MMA picks for the co-host, breaking next week's card down. And of course, we'll have the Total Takedown, the undefeated post-weigh-in show on Friday. But I'm going to front load all my research for this week to kind of take up that that off week space, and then I can have more time with the family next week. And that's the plan. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me tonight. For all the people that are supporters of the show, fans of the show, stuff like that. You guys, the ones that show up for these little chill and chat sessions and hang out live when there's not even any real betting or gambling to talk about. You guys are the real ones. And I know some of you listening right now, I don't want to besmirch my audio people. Some of you can't make it live and are going to listen to this later, and you guys fall into that category just as much. So thank you all so much for the support. Thank you for the love. Dirty Reg, I absolutely will have Gianni back for the Friday Sharp Action Report. We will do that again as soon as possible. He's a busy man. He's hard to get a hold of, but I will absolutely be doing that soon. One asking Dern or Suarez, that is a really tough fight. I would still say Tatiana, just because of the wrestling. I think she'll be able to defend the submissions, but still, because Dern will accept that bottom position and play off her back, I think Tatiana at this stage probably still gets it. But that's not to say that it's going to be that way for long. If Dern makes more improvements the way she has, she absolutely could upset that pick. Damn, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. I'm going to go spend some much needed time with the family. I'm going to touch grass. I'm going to walk away from the computer. I'm going to be online a little bit less for a week. And then, the UFC is bringing us right back for like another 8-week sprint, right? Like, we're going to have nonstop cards. This is going through the summer months. We're going to be doing International Fight Week, some of the biggest cards you've ever seen. I'm going to get an all-star lineup guest list for you guys. We're going to destroy the rest of this year. I'm so excited. Big things coming for the Die Hard MMA podcast. Big things coming for you degenerates in the chat that are diehards and have been rocking with me this whole time. Cheshire Cat, you stop it. All right. You guys are absolutely awesome. I'm going to sign out now. Go get me some delicious food. Put on an extra couple pounds before I start getting in shape. Love you guys. Thank you again for the love and support. Have a wonderful evening. Let's go Hurricanes. And until next time, let's roll.